why helping people will send you broke on LinkedIn. I just came across the post in my feed, and I'm not going to share who wrote the post or anything like that, but I was walking my dog and I saw it and I got triggered and I responded with a comment, and I was like, man, this is the type of advice that people shouldn't listen to and what literally sends people broke, because it's the type of posts and content that people out there that just share. And what it does is this type of content, when people read it, they get a quick like dopamine hit and they're like, oh, I feel good about myself. Like, this is good. All I'm going to do is this. It's okay. But what it does is it doesn't solve a fucking thing. It's just like you wanting to feel better. And so you're just like, screw it, I'm just going to get a chocolate bar, and you get the chocolate bar. Like, you feel better temporarily, but it's like a band-aid for the fundamental problems. And so like, if you go into and I'm going to explain to you the reasoning, but if you go into LinkedIn thinking, I'm just going to help people, it's okay. I'm just going to comment on their posts. I'm just going to, engage with people. I'm just going to go on coffee chats. I'm going to make money. Like, you surely won't. And I've spoken to hundreds, if not probably thousands of creators now, like over the past 18 months. And I work with 500 creators, helping them make money on LinkedIn, getting rich, not famous right now. And they're actually doing, you can see tons of our case studies like online and all that kind of jazz, right? And like, this is like the thing that cuts me deep when I see it. And I'm like, man, you're just giving people fluff. And there's just so much fluff on LinkedIn. It's just insane. And the reason it kind of triggers me so much really is because I listened to the fluff for the first 6 months when I was on LinkedIn. From December 2022 to May 2023, I was doing what all the big creators told me to do on LinkedIn. I followed the fluff and I made no money. And when I just decided to put on my, big boy hat and started thinking about it logically with my sales experience and now marketing experience and really thinking through it deeply, I was like, man, this is a load of BS. Like, this ain't going to make me money. So I'm just going to walk you through the post now. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to show you my response, and I'm going to tell you what to do. Like, how to make money instead of just helping people. How to help people to actively make money. So the post itself, it just talks about, it's one of these posts which people put it out there and it just makes people feel good, and they get a dopamine hit and they get a lot of likes because people are like, yeah. It's just like when you watch reels on TikTok, you feel good. When you eat sugar, it's just a quick hit. It's not actually going to help you do anything. That's it. So it talks about the 3-step process to making money on LinkedIn. And it's a really well-written post, by the way. It's like a sick post, but it just triggers it for me because it's not how you make money on LinkedIn. It's like the total opposite. It says, just help people. Stop complicating the process. You don't have to sell your value. You don't have to sell your value as evident. What's the worst that could happen when you start to help someone? I like those odds. Here's a 30-day challenge. For the next month, just show up and help and see what happens. What the fuck? Like, the definition of help on LinkedIn is commenting and supporting other people's posts, getting on coffee chats, finding partnerships. Oh, and for the love of hell, don't ever pitch anyone or make them an offer. Like, that's the kind of information it's giving. So it's saying, just help people, stop overcomplicating. You don't have to sell yourself. Yes, you fucking do. You have to sell yourself. No one's going to believe you if you've got no experience. You got to sell yourself. You just don't have to sell yourself in the cringy way that everyone thinks selling is, where what they do is they just get this like giant essay messages pitching people in the first message. But you sure as hell got to sell yourself. Like, you have to. What's the worst that could happen? I like the odds. The worst that could happen is you can waste 6 months of your life and 2 hours a day on LinkedIn making $0 and spending the money, which is time, which is the only scarce resource that you actually have, in just wasting your life just doing fluffy feel-good stuff to literally pump other big creators' posts. Like, it's just insane to me. Like, and here's the 30-day challenge, just show up and help. Now, I can understand the messaging from the post itself, right? I think the messaging is good. And I think the creator makes extremely good content. It's just this triggers me. And I think for some people, this is a really good reminder. But for a lot of people, it's just bad advice. It's just not how to make money. And so my response is, I've spoken to hundreds of creators who followed this. They've supported other people's posts, jumped on coffee chats, helped them post valuable content, right? Valuable is questionable because you can't post valuable content unless you have clients and you work with them. Otherwise, it's just fluff. And I'm going to explain why. And, surely if I add value to all these big creators, I'm going to make money. Well, literally 99% of these people, I'm telling you, man, the number of people that I've chatted to, I've chatted to people with I remember there's a guy who has 130,000 followers who makes $0, and he's just so addicted to the dopamine. Like, it's crazy. Like, followers don't equal money. Impressions and likes don't equal money. But people still keep thinking it. And it's like, hey, I'm like, the way that you want to do it, and I'll explain to you how to do it as well. What I say here is like, what you need to actually do is talk to people in the DMs and like have a discussion with your ideal clients and say, hey, I'm putting together this offer. Do you think this is something of value to you? What should I change about it? Can I get on a call with you to help this thing? And that's where I can understand where the helping part comes in, right? Instead of sending all these long pitch messages, right? But like, you've got to actually speak to people in the DMs. And that's what nobody understands. Like, and I'll give you a model and explain to you why this matters, right? But you want to actually start making offers. And if you're scared to make a paid offer, that's totally fine. Make a free offer. But what you need is you need experience working with people. And I'm going to explain to you why, hopefully drive the point home. But like, I just couldn't scroll past without saying something, and I just can't not record this video because like I had a conversation with a guy the other day who's been trying LinkedIn for 12 months. He's been following what people did and he's made no money. 12 months of his life gone. Like, that's his life. He could have been spending it doing actually like working a job, making money to support his family. Instead, he's just listened to this free advice on the LinkedIn feed for all these people want to pump up their likes and numbers and just like feel good about themselves because they get 1,000 likes and they're not actually adding any value. All they're doing is just giving away candy. That's it. It's just candy. It's just fluff to make you feel good. It's not actually going to change your life. It's just a Band-Aid. That's it. It's just eating a chocolate bar. So, and I'm going to explain to you the logic of why just helping and why just creating valuable content doesn't work. Is because, and I'll give it to you from my perspective as well, from my experience, but when you first start thinking about business ideas, right? This is your brain, right? Actually, let me go down so you can't see the rest of the post. So when you start thinking about business ideas, this is your brain. And you start thinking about the ideal potential client, right? And you're like, oh, I know that they have this problem. And from all of your research inside here, right? This is your research. And you're looking at YouTube videos and all this kind of stuff. You've identified that this is the problem with the niche and you think they need solving. So you've YouTubed it, you've done this. And what you do, when you do this, you max out your brain of what you can pitch and offer people, right? So you're like, so this is without speaking to people, without working with clients. You're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. X marks the spot. This is from my research. This is like, so I'm going to create valuable content that I'm going to share with people. I'm going to get on coffee chats and I'm going to just comment on big creators' posts, right? That's what people do. What they don't understand is that your brain or the amount of information you have about your target clients actually goes like this. This is actually your brain and how much information you know about them and how much you know about their pain. And then this is how much you learn or how much bigger your brain will get about the problem after you spend 1 week DMing these people. So here is just 1 week DMing only. Asking them questions saying, hey, does this offer make sense? Is this a problem? And what all these other little X's are all the other problems and things you realize that you didn't actually know existed because you'd never spoken to them, because you'd never messaged anyone. So you actually have no idea what's going on. And then after 1 week of DMing, this happens. And this happened to one of our clients, Andrew. The first thing I told him, I was like, just message your target market. Ask what they want. Ask what the issues are, and then ask to get on a call with them and help them for free, right? This is different to the actual helping that a lot of people say. They're like, don't DM, it's bad, don't pitch. It's like, no, pitch yourself to actually help them. Put yourself first, be assertive. So many people when people don't DM on LinkedIn, right? I think of them as the people who that if they were standing in a line, they would be too scared to say to the person in front of them, just starting a conversation with another human. That's what I think of like when people are like, I think it's just a confidence thing, like not DMing. It's not actually like a lack of knowing what to do. It's just they're just not confident in doing it. So after 1 week of DMing, you actually identify all these other problems that you're like, oh shit, my offer wasn't that good. I thought there was this, but there's all these other problems. And there's also these other two really big problems that it'll probably be better if my office solved these as well. But then what happens, right? You do 1 week of DMing. But then what happens, right? When you do 1 month of DMing and you have a couple of meetings, right? This is what happens. You start realizing there's a bajillion more problems that you actually had no idea even existed. And it was impossible for you to know that these existed before. Impossible until you started talking to them, until you started working with people and helping them. It literally impossible. You can't do it because you don't know, because you haven't distilled down the information enough. And so then this is 1 month of working with these people, right? Of just talking to them, discussing with them, doing all that kind of stuff, right? Just 1 month. And then this is what happens in 1 year. 1 year. That's 1 week. That's 1 month. A year. And then only then, after this period of time, do you start finding the golden nuggets, which are the actual things that people want help with. These are the actual things that people want help with. Not all the fluff in the beginning, and not the one little problem pain point where you're like, executives of SaaS companies want more trust and reach out there. What? Like, it's just such a simple thing. You need to know the prospect so deeply after working with them for a year that you can be like, yeah, I know these are the massive problems. These are the issues. And I'll give you a story to kind of wrap it up to help you out as well here. But like, just going through and helping people by commenting and engaging and following this like quid pro quo like crap. It's just like, I understand the post. I understand the engagement. I get it. Like, I totally get it. But it's not the advice to start making money. It's just not going to happen, right? And because you need to start talking to people. And while I agree with the sentiment of helping, yes, you got to pitch. You actually got to pitch yourself and put yourself out there and get rejected all the time. And if you don't want to get rejected, and if you're not comfortable getting rejected, you shouldn't own a business. Period. Like, part of being an entrepreneur is pitching yourself into existence. That's like, you look at guys like Diary of a CEO, whatever that guy's name is, I can't remember his name, but like how he started out was he just cold emailed hundreds of people. And he talks about it on all the time, on all of his episodes, where he says, you've got to pitch yourself into existence. You've got to make it into existence. And if you aren't willing to send a DM to a stranger because you're too scared, you're going to have to send DMs to strangers forever. Like, I'm only like 18 months. I'm like a freshie in this business. Like, I'm new. But like, I know that I'm just going to have uncomfortable situations all the time. You got to fire people eventually. You've got to, tell people you can't work with them. Like, you got to reach out and pitch people. You're going to get rejected. Like, that's just part and parcel of what you do. So you might as well just get started reaching out to people like now, because you're going to have to do it anyway. But if you look here, this is what 99% of people on LinkedIn are doing. They're just posting content. They're just engaging on others' posts. And they're just having coffee chats. And this is the way to send you broke. Literally. And I've seen it. I've worked with hundreds of people. I've chatted to nearly thousands of people. And I know it's true. I've seen it. I did it myself. And this is what happens. All you want to do is spend 1 week DMing, asking about the problems. Then spend a month. And then spend a year, and then you finally work out what the actual problems are. And to finish up the story, to finish up this, to hopefully tie it in a bow, the last company I was at was called Telesense. Go to telesense.com.au. I don't think Michael's even updated the website right. I cold called 5,000 people, cold calls, and booked 150 meetings. And right in the beginning, I thought I knew what our niche was. I thought our niche was local councils in Australia, government institutions, government. I thought it was non-profits. I thought, and it still is, somewhat is. But after 5,000 cold calls and distilling down and having 150 meetings, we worked out that the ICP was Indigenous, hopefully I can spell Indigenous, Indigenous, rural, healthcare centers. So Australian Indigenous Rural Healthcare Centres. Because what we did is we sold phone systems, and they had all the exact pains that we could solve for. They had compliance issues. They were with the same provider, which was Telstra, who was just shafting everyone. They have compliance issues. They've got risk. They're also rural, so they're paying more money. They've got lots of dollars, or not lots of dollars, but they've got more dollars. They're non-profits, and they can spend it. They also have, because they're health as well, but communications has to be a priority, and like all these things. And so when we really got down to it, when I actually started cold calling the right people, and most people wouldn't believe this, is I spent 80 minutes cold calling one day in my house down there where the computer was different, and I booked 14 meetings in 80 minutes. Because my messaging was so crystal clear that I didn't even have a single follow-up, nothing. Because instead of me thinking this like what I did when I started, I went out and we chatted to all these people, and pretty much after a year, we worked out, okay, this is the best ICP, these are all their problems. And that's why we've got clients, one client who works with executives at legal firms in the US. He closed 100,000 AUD in the DMs last month, barely gets any impressions on his content, 2,800 followers, because he knows his niche so well. He's been working with them. He doesn't even need content. You become like content proof, essentially. But all of this starts from actually reaching out and pitching yourself and making offers and getting onto them. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Give me a like or subscribe. Really appreciate it. I just really felt compelled to share this after I saw it, because I just don't want anyone dealing with the same issues that I did and seeing all the hundreds of creators I've chatted to having the same issues. Anyways, peace out. Catch ya.